All right, this is the beginning of the seasonal holidays blender challenge, and I'm going to create a prop here. I'm going to create what's called a dreidel. It's part of the Jewish tradition. It's like a little spinning top that's used for playing games or gambling or whatever. Very easy to make, and so I'm going to do that as one of my submissions. So I'll probably put it together in a little scene. All right, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a plane, go into edit mode, and subdivide, and I think I'm going to subdivide this 5 times. Okay, that looks okay. So I'm going to select the middle vertex there and turn on proportional editing, and I'm going to make sure this is on sphere, and I'm going to start pulling down, and I want to make my circle about the size of the plane, a little bit bigger, so that I get this nice swooping effect here. So it goes like this. Okay, I'm going to shut that off. Press 2 for edge selection and Shift Alt and click all of the edges going around like that. I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull it up in the Z direction like that. And then I want to straighten these out in the Z, so I'm going to press SZ0 and I'll come up to something like that. Okay, so there's part of it. Now I'm going to press Control 1 and shade smooth. So that adds one subdivision, level of subdivision. I'm going to press 2 for edge selection and come around, and I'm going to select all of these edges around the side. I'm holding Shift, clicking those, and then I'm going to Shift Alt and click all these curved ones here. And I'm going to sharpen this up a little bit by pressing Shift E, and then I'm going to pull, and you'll see the lines start to turn sort of the pink color. Pretty much going to pull that to the end. If I press N, let me come over to, where is it? Item. This is the mean bevel weight. You can see the mean crease is 1. That's what I've done. If I do this, slide it over. All right, I'm bringing that up to 1. And then I'm going to come in with an edge loop, Control R, and drag it down pretty close to the end. And I'm also going to do one here, Control R, bring it close. So it's almost like a 3 bevel. If that makes sense, 3 bevel, 3 edges. I'm going to do that on each of these, just like that. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to do the bottom, but I think I'm first going to apply the subdivision. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to select here. I'm just going to press F to make a face. And then I'm going to Control B to bevel, pull. And the only thing I don't want my edges to cross over, Control B, pull. And I can have 2 or 3 edges in there, that's fine. A little bit of shading error, and I can deal with that with a weighted normal, and normal's auto smooth. And this is what I have. I can put on the cavity shader as well, just make it look a little nicer. So that's the main body of the dreidel. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a simple cylinder, and I can use something like 16 or 18 vertices. I'll go for 18. I'll switch this to nothing so there's no ends on it, and scale it down. Push that in. In edge selection, Shift Alt and click there. Pull that up a certain ways. It's just something to grab on to spin the top. F to make a face, and I will Control B, pull and roll up. So I have 3 edges in there and shade smooth. And that's basically the modeling of the dreidel. I think that's probably okay as it is, something along that line. I'll just take it and bring it up above the X. Okay, so now we're going to come over to the UV editing window and unwrap this, and the way I'm going to do that is press 3 for face selection, select that face, Control E, mark seam, Control 1 to look from the back, and 2 for edge selection, Shift Alt and click, and I'll put an edge in there. Or mark a seam right there is what I mean. I can take that and U unwrap. So there's the very top, and this represents the cylinder. I'd like to straighten that though, so I'm going to select a bit, Control L, N for the side panel, and I'm going to use UV squares. Again, this is a paid add-on, it's not very much, and it's very helpful. I'm going to use 2 grid by shape. You could straighten that manually in Blender though if you wanted to. So I have that. I think I'll scale that down a little bit and just move it out of the way. And for this guy, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to I will Shift Alt and click this edge here, Control E, mark seam, and then I'm just going to follow these pretty much. Actually, before I do that, I don't need this or this. I'm Shift Alt and clicking on those. When I applied the subdivision, I got some extra geometry, X, dissolve edges. I don't need those. So I can now select, I'm going to select the pink. Basically, I'm going over the same lines. So I want to get that. I'm going to select there. Let's go ahead and get the curves first of all. It's a little hard to tell with these colors. I'm going to mark seam there, so it's changed to sort of red. I want to get this piece and this piece. You know what? Let's change this. Let's Control E. Let's clear that seam, and let's just select there. Control E, mark seam. It's not going to make much difference. That allows me to just Shift and click, or oh, sorry, what am I doing? Shift and Alt and click that pink line from, and it'll go. It should go. It's not getting the bottom part. Yeah, it is. Let's make sure. Mark seam. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. That allows me to just Shift and Alt and click if I get the right one. Control E, mark seam. It's getting bottom. Yeah. Very simple unwrap. I think I got it all. And let's double check, by the way, that nothing is flipped. That could cause a bit of a problem. Yeah, it is all flipped. So let's just Alt-N, recalculate outside. Face orientation, let's do that again. All right, okay, well, these guys, so you'll notice they're both being selected, and so I'm going to just merge by distance, make sure there's nothing going on. I want to make sure that I have everything split. Here's part of the problem here. I didn't go all the way up to the top. So sometimes, you know, funny things will happen. Control E, mark seam. Let's try that one more time. And now they're all separate. So, you know, a small little error caused that. Now, that's good. The only thing is I would like to have these rotated. Let's rotate minus 90, is it? And let's see if I can get, okay, that's that piece. There we go. I'm going to move these out of the way and sort of line them up like this. And this one here, because we'll be putting some text on here. And that one there, like that, pretty much. Okay, so I'm going to take these. Actually, I'll take this here. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. That's the bottom piece here. Not too much smaller, though. That's the top. I can make that a little smaller. And just get them into position. I probably will go ahead and pack this anyhow. Okay. Now there's also, let's see, also this stuff here. What I can do is I can go ahead and join those now and get the whole thing there. And with that done, I can take this, I can press N, and to pack I'm going to use UV Pack Master, and I'm not going to have rotation enable pack, and then I'll still get these. Okay, they've moved, they're not quite lined up. I could reline them up, but I don't need to. And I have a little bit of space in between, so I think I'm okay just with that. And so I'm done the modeling, and I am ready to export that as an FBX. In Substance Painter, I'm going to click New, switch this to OpenGL, and select the DREIDEL video FBX. And there it is. And now it's time to bake the mesh maps. I'll bake them at 2K. I'll uncheck ID and thickness and bake. This is going to be a very straightforward texturing job. I'm going to search my smart materials for a metal. And I'm thinking of using sort of an old, I'm going to try this metal diner smart material that I created in the past. And I'm going to see if I get rid of a couple of things, if this can be used. And I am liking it. I want that. Okay, so that would give that effect. We can look at a couple of different ones. See what that looks like. Okay, I don't think I'm going to use that one. What else? Let's try this one. Yeah, I might go for this old look. We'll see, just for now. One last, I just want to double check that I want that rust in there. You know what I might do? Let's try getting rid of that, and let's come over to the smart masks under rust and just see if I just try a couple of other. Let's try this cavity rust, just that. Let's try this edge rust. We'll do sort of like that if it wasn't so much. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much of your time, so we could consider something like that. Maybe I'll do that. All right, let's move on to the next part. All right, I'm going to put some text on here, and the way I'll do it is I'm going to create a fill layer, and I'm going to use color, I think, and height. I'm going to drop the height down a little bit. Let's get the color on there. I'm going to use this, we'll try a white. I'll add a black mask, add a paint, and I'm going to use a stencil. And the stencil I'm going to use, I'm going to bring in as a resource. I'm going to use these Hebrew letters that I found. And I'm going to just do them as an alpha to the current session. All right, so there they are. And now I'm going to come into the properties of my paint layer. And I've got to clear this alpha. And when I do that, I have this stencil section. I'm going to just drag that in. And now you start to see this. I want to switch to orthographic and snap into side view. And I'm just zooming my model actually, not the letters. I'm just going to choose a spot and I'm going to paint over here. And if I get any extra, I can just erase it. So I got that. Just make sure I got it all. Okay. And then I'm going to turn this and snap to another side and just position it pretty much in the center. And draw over this one. These are the typical Hebrew letters that are on the dreidel. Snap to there and move it along. And get this one. You can see that I got a little bit of, I can either escape or I can press X and just delete that. Press X again, and I'm going to turn to the final side and get the last letter here. There we go. When I'm done, I can get rid of that. And that is it. There's my sort of old dreidel there. And let's say we want to bring that back into Blender and just have a final look at it. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to call this dreidel. I'll just call it dreidel. That's sort of the name for the texture. I'm going to come to Export Textures, Output Templates, and I really just need PBR Metallic Roughness, but I happen to have one here where I've deleted some of the information at the front. Like if I just go here, you see it says Mesh there. I don't need that name. I just want this. All right, so I'll select that PBR Metallic Roughness short name and choose where I want to put this. Put it in there and export. And I'll just save. And I'll come back to Blender to the Shading tab and I'll create a material and call it dreidel. Click on the Principled BSDF and Shift Control T. Okay, here are the textures and we have it done. There it is in Blender. I know these letters are pretty similar, but they are different. And there's one way that you can create a dreidel. Take this, Shift D to duplicate it, and I will rotate Z, say 180, and I'll rotate 90. I have that, and rotate Z a little bit. And we've got a couple of them. Okay. All right, we'll move on and do some other parts soon, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you again later.